psychology, and they call it the white coat syndrome. When you got people, if the doctor tell it to them, he could be 100% lying, and they gonna 100% believe him
That's true.
because he got that white coat on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that comes straight out of Machiavelli. To put people in uniforms so that they can seem more important than other people.
Mm.
And then you put medals and trinkets on their jacket to make them superior among the ones that wear uniforms.
Mm-hmm. So you're exposing a lot of these things, you know, along with blood conjure wars and all this magic that they have used to cast spells on us. What's next? Now that you expose all this, what happens next? What are we supposed to do with this information?
Well, one thing is once you know that there's a spell and how it works and that you was a target of it, you take away the power of it
Mm-hmm.
by removing the secrecy.
Okay.
So even the people that's diehard Christians that heard the message, don't try to convince them.
Okay.
Because they blood gonna talk to them over time and wake them up. Every time they get ready to do one of those Eucharist communion rituals of eating their God and drinking his blood, they'll realize that that's a simulated cannibal ritual used to subdue the minds of the people. You can't unhear it. You know it now.
That's one of the things that woke me up. I was literally taking communion one day, and I just woke up like in the middle of taking communion. I was like, do you hear yourself saying, I will take the blood of Christ and I'm eating the body of Christ? But if anybody else does that, they will call them a cannibal. They will call them, you know, an idol worshiper. And I'm not saying this to offend anybody. I'm saying this is what happened to me when I said, you know what? Something about this just doesn't sit well in my spirit. And I stopped. The moment I realized that I just said, I said, now my ancestors, if my ancestors were to do this, if they were, it reminded me of, you know, what they say, people that practice voodoo, they drink blood, they eat the body of others, you know, and I was like, but what are we doing as Christians? It just didn't sit well with me, Chief.
Mm-hmm. Well, we used the church originally to hide our standard rituals
Okay.
that we already did. You see them today and shouting in church. That came out of voodoo. That's voodoo culture that has nothing to do with the church.
Okay. Okay.
What they call speaking in tongues in the church over here,
Mm-hmm.
go see if you hear it in the Catholic Church over in Italy. It's not, they don't exist.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not Christian culture. That's straight out of the voodoo.
Okay. Okay.
Right? And that's actually an actual ancient tongue that most of us don't remember, but some of us remember the language, can translate it.
I agree.
Right?
I've been in situations. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but to us it just sounds like gibberish.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a language.
And it's literally a language. And I've been in situations where people were speaking in tongues, or what we called an unknown ancient tongue, in the church, and somebody would stand up and actually interpret it, and the congregation agrees because their spirit agrees with the interpreter. And I thought, wow, that's so powerful.
And that do not come from the Christian church.
Okay.
So speaking in tongues in the Bible is the ability to speak foreign languages.
Mm-hmm.
Linguistics. Mm-hmm. The word that they translate as tongues is lingua.
Okay.
So linguistics, just the tone, the texture of the voice.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the language of the foreign people, they got a different texture.
Okay.
Spanish people roll their R's off the front of their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Arabic people comes from the deep part of their throat with their ka sounds. Right? Two different parts of the tongue is primarily used. So you're talking about the difference in the languages.
Okay.
Right? And in the book, it tells them that when the Holy Ghost, when the Spirit came over the apostles, and they received the gift of tongues, they was able to translate the language of those around them.
Yes.
didn't say they was gonna speak an ancient language that ain't nobody never heard in 20,000 years, and that somebody in the congregation gonna jump up that's tied to the bloodline that's gonna know the language but don't know why he know it and can't figure out why he know what everything means, but he just gonna speak it.
Mm.
But in the voodoo culture, you can see that. In the Santeria, you can see that,
Oh.
right? In the Obe, you can see that. In the culture, it's there. It's already there. Been there. It ain't new. It's ancient. It's paintings on the walls all over the world of that same culture.
Mm.
But we can't equate the paintings on the wall because they disassociated from us to know that them was our ancestors that we was painting on the wall for you to remember who you was coming out of amnesia at the close of the age of Pisces, because they can't keep us
Mm.
perpetually idiots.
Okay.
So this is where they say that the Anunnaki was told to give it to the earth, give it all back
Mm.
by the
Mm.
Galactic Council. So if
Okay.
they had to give it back, then they had to find an earthborn heir that was the rightful heir.
Have they done that? Have they found that?
Yeah, it's 12 daughters, which is 12 major matriarchs. Well, it's 13 major matriarchs. The 13th seat is the sacerdotal seat, and the other seats are what you call regional seats for the
Okay.
12 regions of the earth beyond the seat of the Great Mother.
Mm.
You know the blood right because it'll be tied to finance.
Mm.
So when we tell them, like when I tell them about Empress Redbird, it's because they gave her the documents, the foundational documents that their construct was built on.
Mm.
They surrendered. Here, yes, she got the original allodial title directly from the Rockefellers, who was given the jurisdictional authority to write that BS.
Mm. Mm.
So once they gave her that, that gave the tribes the right to start to reconstitute across the land, go back to our tribal ways, go back to the oral tradition, and finish reclaiming everything by oral tradition.
Wow.
That's why I had the show in 2017 when they staked the totem pole in DC, because we can't take all of the land back without taking the embassy of the enemy first.
Mm-hmm.
Then this shows up on January 6th, where a native trained shaman sat
Mm-hmm.
behind Pelosi's desk with the law of the land flag to usurp the admiralty jurisdiction. That shut him down right there. He was there. All you had to do there is be there 30 seconds. He was there at least a couple of minutes.
Mm.
And he was sitting there with his feet up. That means that the territory is now occupied by the corporation is now occupied by the Republic. He's also a Marine Special Forces, white hat operative.
Okay.
That's what he was sent there to do. Put the American flag of the land with no gold fringes behind
Mm-hmm.
enemy lines, the Admiralty flag,
Ooh.
right? Then what happened? Sipico, the native out of Canada, put the Pope on public notice in native tongue, then translated it into English.
Mm.
And the Pope response was to rescind the discovery doctrine, which is the foundational doctrine of the whole incursion into the Americas.
Wow.
By removing the discovery doctrine, he also removed every treaty that's built on it.
Mm.
That means anything that came after the discovery doctrine has been nullified in law.
Mm.
So then, once that happened, right, then the only thing I had left to do, I had to find Empress Redbird. Once I found her, she was able to time what I did in the oral tradition with receipts that they gave her as the response to what I was doing.
Mm.
So now Trump announced that all of the Black American tribes that was formerly not recognized will be recognized under this next upcoming administration.
Wow.
They also was holding sin hearings about a week ago about the rightful heirs of the Cherokee Nation, because under the Cherokee you have different tribes that also have leadership hierarchy, right? But they got to have what's called a prime leader.
Mm.
They know who that is because they gave her the paperwork. So she can bring all, all of the tribes that wanted to unify and overthrow the corporate system can just tie in the Empress Redbird and be back in business,
Mm.
right? A lot of us don't understand that this is ancient tribal tradition. Every 26,000 years, we go through the same thing to rebuild the next future.
Wow. Now, how did they identify Empress Rarebird as the one to whom to give these documents?
They've been watching her whole life. That's like they've been watching you and they've been watching me. And if you
Mm.
think they don't know who he is, then you naive to your enemy. They know who every one of us is. They following us from birth through our lines because they know who our mothers is.
Mm.
Their only problem is they thought that all of the ones in my generation would be so gung ho about killing. We kill each other. It won't be one of us that'll be able to help.
Mm.
We the elders now.
Amen.
We
Absolutely.
we the elders now. So we got to do the job of the elders, and that's to tell all of the babies, they look, hold up, y'all got to stop killing each other for a minute. Y'all need to see this. This is what they did. I'm gonna tell you exactly how they did it. Who did it? I'm gonna show you dirty players confessing.
Yeah.
And once the youth understand that they need us to believe we from somewhere else to disassociate us from the land, so that they can say that we surrendered the land to a foreign power on the conclusion of war. But when we telling them we know who we is, we was already here, we always been here, gonna always be here. You done killed us, fried us, fricasseed us, turned us into strange fruit, and decorated the South during the Christmas season with the bodies of the chiefs. You done executed chiefs, shot us down in the streets like rabid dogs. You done blew up our families like you did John Africa and Philadelphia. You done sent direct hits on certain people like you did Malcolm X and Clarence 13X, like you did Tupac Shakur, like you did Christopher Wallace. We know what y'all did.
Mm-hmm. And you killed our babies in the womb before
And,
they can get here.
and killing our babies in the womb and torturing the mothers.
Mm.
Right? They doing inappropriate birthing rituals that separates the maternal connection from the child, and then they separate the sisterhood. Because now the woman don't have a sisterhood to balance her energies against some healed women, so she can understand that what she going to is the side effect of them prematurely cutting her baby umbilical cord, and that her baby didn't really die like her chemistry told her, because she seen the doctors when they cut it.
Mm-hmm.
But because the baby never got to suck the teeth to circulate the colostrum through the umbilical cord for the chemicals in the placenta to tell the mother to let go so she could send the rest of oxytocin while she watching the baby feed, stimulating the connection between mother and child. Proper parental bonding, pair bonding at birth. But when you interrupt the proper pair bonding, then the mothers go through a crisis, a caregiver crisis, where she can't not quite get her feet under her in her life. They know what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose. You can't tell me they don't know, because I wouldn't know if they didn't know.
Right? Chief, somebody wants to know, how can they find their tribe? This particular person, how do I find my tribe of a Hispanic woman born in Texas? But I think that's a good question for everybody. How can we find our tribes?
The first thing, you can go back as far as you can to a geographical region in your direct lineage. You're gonna run into a dead end because they burnt up a lot of files in churches and office buildings and libraries. They burned them down on purpose so that we can run into a dead end. But that ain't it. Once you get to the last place where you can, that's where they erased you at. Now you go to a map, a tribal map, a pre-1492 tribal map. You can find one on Google. They got a whole lot of them. And look at the geography that you from. And then you can see the different tribes in the general area You are 9 out of 10. Your lineage will trace back to an admixture of tribes from that area. And when you go down there and see them people, you go be like, damn, some of them people was like looking in the mirror, they look so much like me.
Mm, mm. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Chief, I have a lot of European friends who really enjoy this type of information. And then I have some that feel a little uncomfortable because they don't understand the necessity of expressing our concern about being lied to, that we are the, autogenous copper color races found here by Columbus. They don't understand what's
Everybody
the
not supposed to. Everybody not supposed to get it. It ain't it's our job to get it. It's their job to watch it what happened once we realize.
okay.
Once they see that we realize the real lies and they see us moving accordingly, we starting to come together now. Right? We
Mm,
started to greet each other different on the streets now because we in the awareness of that they want us to hate each other so bad that they put every kind of device or divide and tactic in our community.
yes.
In the generation my mama came from, siblings was fighting over who the light skinned sibling versus who the dark skinned sibling.
Yeah.
And I seen my uncles and my mom and them having that conflict. I went to intervene. My mama told me, you stay out of that.
Mm,
That's before your time. You got a whole nother fight to fight. You ain't got time to be worrying about who light skinned and who dark skinned in the family.
okay.
And I was like, yes, ma'am. And I got a relationship with all my cousins that whenever we see each other, it's all love
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
sight.
Mm.
And we huggers. We huggers. So yeah, and ain't nobody in my family gonna hug you if they don't like you. They just not gonna do it. That's just how the whole family wired on both sides, my mama and my daddy family.
Mm.
We ain't finna be hugging people we don't care nothing. I ain't feeling you like that. I don't want you that close to me. But if we give you a hug, you gonna know we mean it because you gonna feel it.
Hmm.
You gonna feel it.
I'm working
And
on that, Chief. I'm working on that because there are some like certain people that I know don't have my best interest at heart, but I'm like, just to save face, I'm gonna go ahead and grit my teeth and hug you. You know what I'm saying?
ain't nothing wrong with you letting them kiss your hand.
Yeah, darling.
Yeah, yes. Hey, look, Sophia Loren did it with her passing ass.
Ooh.
Hollywood's first sophisticated lady, the
Yes.
most classiest out of all of the actresses. How do you get to be the classiest of the classy?
Mm.
Gotta
Mm.
have some soul in your blood, baby.
Right?
It's natural, right? The
Mm.
noble character it betrays the royal blood.
They're saying
Yeah,
kiss the ring.
yeah. Look, look. And then you let your family know that if there's got somebody with them that you don't want to hug, you ain't hugging nobody. Your family already know what's up,
They
so
really
they won't feel no type of way because they know that you don't just want no any old body infected you with their rotten ass energy. Let them kiss you, curtsy, and let them kiss your hand.
You said curtsy.
Yeah, hit him with an Abel Gabor, darling.
Darling. I love it, darling.
Look, ain't nowhere. I've been read a whole bunch of books of life, and I haven't seen where it was ordered for nobody to be an ass kisser.
Mm.
It's not in nobody book of life. Some people behave like it's in there, but it's not even in theirs. They just
Mm.
behave that way.
Mm.
Brown nose and the shoe shuffling for somebody to look at them and give them some favor. Don't give me no favor. I'm gonna find me a way.
Somebody's I'm gonna take this person up on their comment. Her Grace Empress Kia Pruitt. Darling.
Yeah, you ain't got don't mix your energy. Don't let them people contaminate your energy.
I can dig it.
Especially when you coming from the true place and the pure heart with no ill intentions, and you feel that nope, that's your ancestors telling you don't you touch that motherfucker. Don't let him be rubbing his nasty ass heart chakra up against your purified energy.
Ooh, ooh wee. Mm,
So you get seduced by vampires, blood sucking
absolutely.
haters.
Mm, mm.
All vampires don't suck blood, some suck energy.
Wow, wow.
They see you in a good mood, they ain't happy till you get pissed off.
True.
And you got people that live in the house with them and call them husband and wife.
Preach.
They can't. If it get peaceful around there, they unrest sets in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's not normal.
He is the son of John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr., and that his mother paid the Hells Angels to protect him. And I thought that was really interesting because when you hear about the Hells Angels in mainstream media, they make them seem like they're a bunch of thugs and criminals, which some of them may be, but
They do that to every tribe. Every
mm,
tribe that's a non-treaty tribe that refuse to do business with them is classified as an outlaw tribe,
mm-hmm,
as a non-treaty tribe, as an enemy combatant tribe, or as a
mm,
gang.
okay.
All those are the tribes that the government, when they call them a gang, that means they want the rest of the people to not see them as a tribe.
Wow.
But gang don't mean bad.
Okay.
You got to remember the police the biggest gang on the land.
For real.
And you got
Absolutely.
to remember it was a chief of police out of LA that told us that.
Mm, mm, mm. Thank you, Chief. I want to get back to, because people are wanting to know, like, how are they going to be notified who the big mama is of their tribe in order to dispense this wealth? I know you
They
said they know who we
they
all are.
they track your genealogy. They track your history. They know who we are.
Mm,
They never not knew who we were. They've been knowing who we was the whole time. The trick wasn't to not get them to know who we was. The trick was to keep us from knowing who we was.
mm,
When they give it back, they know who to give what back to,
okay.
right? And they know us by rank. The higher the rank, the more they know us.
Mm,
They sit there and watch us and on social media, watch us through the camera systems, all that stuff you seen on with Will Smith on Enemy of the State. They be doing that to us.
mm,
Been
mm,
watching us our whole life, and we thought we was doing something slick. Look,
mm.
I was a fugitive for 6 years before they locked me up. They knew where I was at every step of the way. And the reason why I knew they knew was when they finally caught me, they told me where I had been.
Wow.
And how the hell did you know I was in Delaware? I wasn't using my name in Delaware. They told me the name I used. They
Dang.
told me where I worked at.
And you weren't even using your name.
No, you can't be
Wow.
on the run using your name. You ain't on the run for real. I used my name in Chicago.
Mm, mm,
Chicago's so big, don't nobody care who you is.
mm-hmm.
They just care how you gonna affect the local community. Everywhere I went, I was a blessing. And
Wow.
I ain't no shit back then.
Mm-hmm. Wow. It reminded me of a personal story, a little self-disclosure. My daddy had escaped from prison. People don't know come from a interesting bloodline. And he was on the run for years. And I was like, dang, you gotta be a bad man to like break out of Grafton. He's deceased now, prison. And I was like, gosh darn it. And they found him like all the way on the West Coast. And I was like, how they track you down? Like you've been running for like 8 to 10 years. Because he was a fugitive, we didn't have a close relationship. But it's just crazy the way they found him. And, in the middle of nowhere, I don't even think he was doing anything when he got locked up. I'm like, dang, Dad, you
Look,
made it 10 years.
I was in the county in Chicago when they first caught me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they brought another dude in. This dude had been on the run for like 20 something years.
Mm.
married with a family, been working the job for over 20 years.
Wow.
And they knew where he was at the whole time.
Mm. Mm. Crazy. So speaking of, they know where you are. Why is it that some of your social media accounts are not up anymore? Like I think you used to have a YouTube channel, right?
I still got my YouTube, but I don't do anything on my YouTube at all.
Oh, okay, okay,
When I come on YouTube, I'm normally on somebody else's channel.
okay.
My Facebook is the same.
Let me see.
I got my Rod Hayes Instagram is gone.
Okay.
So I got Instagram is the SikApe.
Let me see if I can find it. I got it. Okay.
And the other one I got access to, but I haven't been using is Morpheus Mystery.
Illuminati. Soldiers in Illuminati are present everywhere. Mm.
Yeah, that's
Do
who
that.
he was fighting. The Bavarian Illuminati in the Skull and Bones Society was the branch that controlled over here.
Mm.
The Pirates of the Caribbean, who used to store the wealth up in Puerto Rico
Mm.
before they took it back to Europe.
Okay. Sometimes, speaking of they know who you are, sometimes I swear I be feeling targeted, but I don't like focusing on that. But I mean, how
Mm-hmm.
is it that some people can give information and then when certain ones of us give information, they'll shut.
Negotiations for the contract. I told them give them whatever they want.
Wow.
You know what happened?
Hmm.
Negotiating committee wouldn't ask for nothing.
Hmm.
They were so used to taking bribes, and
Hmm.
they were so used to doing business where the company come in and say this is gonna be the new contract,
Hmm.
that when the company found out they was being watched, they wouldn't negotiate in bad faith in order to hold the integrity of the company. But they not telling the negotiating committee that was actively being investigated by the FBI that they was also being investigated, and they had to come with a request. They never, to this day, still haven't took GM, Ford, or Chrysler from the union body's negotiating team a viable relief package for the workers. They still haven't done it. They signed 2 contracts.
Hmm.
And all of the contracts is basically a continuation of the one before that don't really benefit the worker to the degree that it should,
Hmm.
right? So they gave a lot of concessions between the 80s and the early 2000s that the
Hmm.
company promised to give them back when they was profitable. Now they hitting record profits, over the fence home run profits, and they talking about, oh yeah, we remember that, but we're gonna deal with that one in the next negotiation. No, no,
Hmm.
no, no. You making the money now. Pay us,
Right.
you know. But
Hmm.
a lot of them thought it was business. They still think it's business as usual.
Hmm.
But when it's flipped turn around, I'm gonna be at my local 5960 telling them I made them give y'all everything that I can make them give y'all without
Hmm.
sending them totally out of business.
Hmm.
I want them to get stock options for the employees. Fuck a pension. Give them
Right.
stock options.
Hmm.
And then when they retire, they stock option cash into a dividend stock that pays out on a regular basis. Since y'all don't think that the worker have value, the workers got more value than the company. So we're gonna take more value than the company.
Hmm.
But it comes from people not knowing how hourly rates is calculated, right?
Hmm.
It's not calculated by the job. It's calculated by BTUs.
Okay.
How much energy you expend, your metabolic rate to perform a job,
No.
your
Wow.
calorie expenditure determines what the pay is for your work. But if you ever notice, the more calories you burn, the less you get paid.
Mm.
That means the harder the job is, the lower the pay rate.
Absolutely.
But the smarter the job is, the higher the pay rate.
Mm. Mm.
So you got
Yeah.
all the thinkers making all the money while all of the workers are struggling.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder
Mm-hmm.
who thought that up. Must have been the thinkers, because the show wasn't the workers.
So, family, we want to thank you all so much for being here. Again, if you are enjoying this conversation or you learned anything, please support our chief, Chief Pontiac, also known as Rod A's, by sending him a blessing, a Cash App blessing, and he would greatly appreciate it. He didn't ask me to do this, but y'all know how I roll. I believe in supporting people that bless us with knowledge, information, and anything that will liberate humanity as a whole. His Cash App, if you care to send him a blessing, is $SikApe. That's $SIKAPE. Thank you so much, family. All right, let's see if you have any more questions here, Chief. I don't want to keep you too much longer. But people want to know about Europe. Can you say anything about Europe? Like what's happening over there?
Same thing happening over here. All of those royal families that was running before, they all gone. They all about to be gone. The ones that ain't going to be gone. Anybody that was participating in the child trafficking and the human trafficking, they're gonna be gone too. Everybody getting it. It ain't no respect to a person. Everybody that was doing the dirt, ain't nobody getting out here without paying for their dirt.
Oh, wow.
Unless getting out of here is how they paying for their dirt.
Mm. Is there somebody behind the scenes that's making sure this happens? You know, like, is there really a such thing as the Galactic Federation that's helping to make sure these people pay for their
The Galactic Federation ain't making them do nothing. The Earth Alliance is.
Oh,
The
okay.
Galactic Federation can't do nothing without giving the Earth Alliance a chance to clean it up first. That's why it's been taking so long.
Mm.
Because all of the special ops around the planet been being deployed to underground tunnels, underground bunkers, to castles, to underground cities, and they fighting wars in whole cities underground. We don't see this stuff up here,
Mm. Mm.
right? So they use the cover of the war in Ukraine, the war in the Middle East, in order to give us a war to look at, because the war expenditure is not going to match if there's not an active war somewhere.
Okay.
So the military, like it's a hole in the Pentagon's pocket. They done failed their 7th consecutive audit. This
Mm.
one they missing over $500 and some billion. Where the money at?
Yeah, where is it?
Right? And so we know where it's at. They can't spend a dime and it ain't tracked.
Mm-hmm.
So they know where it went. If they say it went to Black Ops, that meant they went to something that they wanted to keep secret from the people.
Right. Mm. Chief, you know how they say that in order for one kingdom to rise up, another one has to fail?
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on President Trump? Do you believe he will eventually step down so that the chiefs on the land will stand up? Or is he a transitional president?
He's 100% a transitional president.
Okay.
He was hand selected by the military and the
Okay.
tribes because of his activism in the casino effort.
Makes sense.
Right. He knew that the people that they trying to pass off as us ain't us.
He said it, didn't he?
Yeah. They don't look like Indians to me. You know, and they don't look like Indians to Indians. And you might say with all of your great wisdom that they look like Indians to you, sir. But they don't look like Indians to me, in all due respect, and they don't look like Indians to Indians.
Mm-hmm. So with him being, go ahead.
Then it's also the prophecy of the man in the red hat from back in 1973.
Huh. The man in the red hat?
Yeah. I think it's a Hopi prophecy of the man in the red hat. So they
Oh,
said that
okay.
the man in the red hat was going to be doing what's called